Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be discussing how to make the most of manufacturer resources with our host, Ali Hoffman. I just wanted to remind you, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, we will be monitoring them, so please be sure to enter them in. We'll have a Q&A section towards the end of the presentation. So, Ali, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ali Hoffman, and I am a virtual partner marketing manager. Just to give a little bit of background, my role within partner marketing is to consult IT solution providers nationwide on go-to-market strategies and to help them generate net new leads and also increase profitability. So I've helped many partners in the industry spend their manufacturer and distributor funds effectively. And within these organizations, I also help to facilitate a more effective alignment among marketing and sales efforts. So if you aren't covered to receive assistance from someone like myself, but you would like to be, just reach out to me after the webinar and we can set up some time to discuss your options. So as Dan mentioned, in today's webinar, we will be discussing how you can get the most out of your manufacturer resources. And this is a brand new webinar series that will be focusing on enabling partners to do better marketing and to follow some best practices in all their channel programs, engagements, and overall marketing efforts. And this is our very first webinar of the series. So the reason we decided to cover this as our first topic is because we do understand the challenges that come with being part of one or multiple marketing programs and with different manufacturers. So maybe your support isn't understanding your business goals, or maybe the requirements of the program is taking its toll on you. Through the course of this webinar, we'll dive into some core challenges and give some tips and tricks for maintaining these relationships, and also a solution moving forward if you feel like you've really exhausted all your options. But first, I'd like to dive into what exactly a partner marketing program is and what are some of the common benefits from utilizing them. A partner marketing program usually involves working closely with a marketing manager who will help you to navigate the many resources tied to a specific manufacturer. So in many cases, you will find your program may have access to funding each quarter that can be allocated towards your marketing initiatives. The programs usually offer assistance to planning out marketing strategy for your business. And then lastly, many programs offer access to some type of marketing platform that will enable you to use and distribute the content they've created specifically for partner marketing. Some of this content can be white papers, infographics, battle cards, ebooks, social content, and so on. So with all of the perks of being part of a marketing program, such as funding, support tools, and resources, also comes the additional ask of meeting requirements in order to reap these benefits, such as reporting pipeline, delivering proof of performance, and then also making or scheduling some regular meetings every 2 weeks. So with all of the great tools and resources you have access to when you're a part of a marketing program, arguably one of the most valuable resources usually provided to you through a marketing program is your own marketing manager. So usually your marketing manager will be able to help you to give insight into what other partners have been doing that's been successful. They can help you plan and strategize your marketing campaigns while having expertise in the industry. And they can also act like an extension of your team and help you complete some necessary action items for your marketing. And there might also be some other things your marketing manager can provide to you that can be specific to the program you're a part of. For example, many programs even have bucket of funds that they can allocate towards your business. And if you don't have access to this level of support, definitely tell your contacts that this is some type of support that you'd like to be receiving. These services are out there. The vendors you're working with just might not be offering them. So you might be thinking to yourself, I didn't know my marketing program could provide funding, content, or a resource who specifically works with other partners and has expertise in this industry. And so that's why the number one issue we're seeing with partner marketing programs is the lack of awareness or communication. So you might be unsure of why you're part of this program or what's in it for you. And in this case, sometimes it's best to just be honest with the person managing the program. As a partner marketing manager myself, some of my best relationships have come from those partners who are honest about their wants and needs. And you and your marketing manager will both benefit if there's an open line of communication where the needs are met on both ends. It's likely that your marketing manager will be able to fully run through what the program is and how it can benefit you. And there could be many reasons why these miscommunications are happening. I was once working with a partner who was transitioned to my coverage from another marketing manager, and they expressed they weren't really sure of the value of the program, and that could have resulted from a number of reasons. And because they expressed this, I was able to start over with them again as if they knew nothing about the program that they were a part of. And then our relationship really flourished because we openly communicated and we now had a complete understanding of the program and the potential opportunities from working together. And so they knew they wanted to do more with their marketing efforts, but we weren't really sure what they should be doing or where to even start. So once we got to discussing some of their wants and needs for marketing, we ended up narrowing our focus to find they had one specific marketing wish for the year, and that was to host an event. So openly communicating was really important in this case because in the beginning of the relationship, they didn't even know how to take advantage of the program or what was even involved. And one of the most common reasons that miscommunication occurs is because of the turnover rate of these programs. It seems to be pretty high. Your point of contact might be new, or maybe you've dropped coverage from one program's coverage and then you've moved to a different distributor's coverage. So if it seems like you're constantly moving from program to program, then let's talk about some of the things you can do to establish a relationship with a new marketing manager. So on the introduction phone call, make sure you're gathering all of the information and the benefits of the program. Even if you don't think that the benefit will help you at that point in time, you might run into a situation in the future where you could potentially utilize that benefit. If you are not actively listening to what the program has to offer, you might be missing out on an opportunity. And then another way to get some clarification of benefits is just to ask. So once you have learned more about what the program has to offer, compare it to other programs that you're a part of. You might find that one program is helping you in one area, but you're lacking support in another realm. So since collateral seems to be a common thing offered within marketing programs, maybe you're lacking a certain manufacturer's content, or maybe one program is offering you marketing expertise, but you're lacking some sales support. It's also common that you might just need some extra support in regards to funding to help accomplish some of your marketing goals. So whatever it might be, just make sure you're gathering all these benefits so that you can pick and choose which program you go to for each of your needs. And then another common issue with turnover is when you have been introduced to many different points of contact, but for the same program. So we see this a lot in marketing programs, and it's really frustrating because it feels like you aren't getting anywhere. And it's true that the number one aspect of support that partners value is execution and campaign management. So let's face it, with a new point of contact comes new ideas and then not a clear understanding of how to best assist you. So in this scenario, it's really best to have an open conversation of how you and your previous marketing manager worked together in the past. Whether you and your marketing manager worked together amazingly or you didn't work well together at all and you didn't really understand what the program had to offer, it's really important to communicate so that both of you can establish how you want to leverage their support and the program in the future. Now, let's take a look at another strong component of a marketing program. Programs offer a robust where you have access to of content and also an extensive marketplace where you can find approved vendors that will cater to specific marketing needs. The assets that these vendors can provide range from list purchases, content, ads, IP listening, appointment setting, and even fully integrated campaigns that are launched on your behalf. So while these platforms can be a great tool to expand your reach within marketing, it's really difficult to manage and navigate if you aren't familiar with marketing. You also might not know what and how you should leverage the tools and the content in the platform. And there can be many different platforms offered to you from different vendors. making it a resource that really requires a lot of bandwidth. And unfortunately, not everyone has the time to go through each platform and the vast amount of content being offered, and then choose the right pieces that might fit for your organization's message. So a common problem with these platforms is that IT solution providers seldom have a dedicated person to go into each manufacturer platform and then develop a plan for what they'd like to utilize. And there is a solution to this problem, especially if you aren't looking to hire a full-time marketing person who may not even have the expertise in this industry. There are actually resources who specialize in marketing for IT solution providers you would be able to contract to coordinate between all your different platforms and marketing programs, and they would actually help you to create a plan of action and as well as execute and manage any campaigns you'd like to run. So if you really find that you're struggling with coordinating between all your resources and need help navigating through these vast manufacturer platforms, consider outsourcing to a manufacturer company, especially if you don't have a point of contact within the manufacturer to help you. So let's take a look at some of the resources that are provided through these platforms. If one of the things you're choosing to leverage through the support of your marketing program is content, you may find that there are a lot of assets that you have readily available, and it can be somewhat overwhelming. So in order to help you pick through the weeds of all these different vendor platforms, make sure you're updating the content that is relative to what you're driving in your marketing campaigns. So if you are hosting an event, think about what you have access to distribute that content, and then also the audience of the event. So whether you require a presentation and a sales handout for a potential client meeting, or you would like to have a preview video to your movie event, it's important to think about the nature of your marketing campaign and to focus the content that will really drive you towards your goals. So remember quality over quantity. If you're unsure of what to leverage, make sure you are asking your marketing manager. And then a common problem we see with manufacturer content is that the content is stale. There's basically an option to slap your logo on it and then call it yours. And all of your competitors are using these same content pieces. So manufacturers invested really heavily in this content that can be used for all their partners. However, the content should not be approached in a one-size-fits-all manner. So on a survey we conducted, a partner responded that, quote, "Manufacturers know very little of who we are, what we do, and what our value is." And of that same survey, 50% of folks said that customized content is what's kept them ultimately from using their supported platforms more often. And so that's where creating custom content is really important. You want your content to be your brand and featuring the manufacturer solution. The more you can differentiate yourself from your competition and the manufacturers, the better your value add will be seen and heard across all your channels to market. So if you don't have the tools and resources to create your own customized content, consider outsourcing to an agency who knows the industry, such as IMS 360 Group. And by the way, this is a shameless plug for our own agency. So the final aspect of our marketing programs that we're going to discuss and arguably the most important aspect is funding. So funding can potentially be used to assist in outsourcing help where you see fit, depending on what program you're part of, and the rules of allocating the funds. There is a possibility to use the funds towards some of the tactics that we spoke about today, such as getting personalized content created, using funds to pay for approved vendor packages, or also hiring a marketing agency to coordinate all your efforts. These are all ways that you might be able to use your marketing dollars. Trying to get funds approved by manufacturers and allocating funds and then providing the necessary documentation after spending funds can be very overwhelming. So with some helpful tips and tricks, you will be able to understand more clearly how to get access to funds and then also how to navigate to spend these funds. So first and foremost, familiarize yourself with the different buckets you may be receiving marketing dollars from and exactly how much you have so that when you can come up with a plan to spend these dollars. You should also be familiarizing yourself with the deadlines that are tied to these funds so that you can stay on top of managing all these funds and be aware when you need to submit for proof of performance and also to receive reimbursement. So once you know the dollar amount that you're working with, you will then be able to start your planning, but be sure that you're reviewing the guidelines before you spend these dollars. By reviewing the documents, you're enabling yourself for a smooth process of reimbursement rather than spending the money and getting denied in reimbursement because that activity didn't meet the expectations of the vendor. If you don't have the time to manage marketing funds, then assign an employee to take care of these tasks for you. It's really important that you have one dedicated person who's monitoring your dollars because with too many hands on deck, you might run into complications and lose track of where your funding is coming from and also where it's going. So you might be asking, where can I get marketing funds if I don't have any? So it is possible you do have access to a funding bucket that you didn't even know existed. And usually through working with your marketing manager, you can stay informed. And you also might be able to find access to funds that you may have not known were even available to you being part of their program. If there are no funds available to you at that time, then ask if there are things you can do now to qualify for marketing funds in the future. So chances are that the distributors and manufacturers know how to measure your performance in your programs or your ability to sell solutions as a whole and can give you a better understanding of how to qualify for marketing funds. And then also be sure to ask your vendor contacts if there is a hot solution at the time for them. Maybe there might be some discretionary funding for your organization to go to market with a plan that's for that specific solution. They might ask you to put together a proposal or show your plan of what you want to do with the funding. So just remember to be prepared for this request. And AFV actually offers a free campaign template, which I can send the link to download after this webinar. And then also another thing, sometimes it's just as simple as showing them a report of the pipeline you've generated for the quarter. Also, always be sure that you're asking these questions so that you're not missing out on any opportunities. Once you gain clarity into your stance with funds, then make sure you're gathering insight into what you need to be doing to continually receive funding. And so in my experience, the partners that I'm working with who are keeping me in the loop or working with me more closely to come up with new initiatives will be more likely to receive funds in the future, because if I have an opportunity to go up to bat for the partner for funds, I will definitely have that partner in mind. Also sending assets from projects or pictures from an event and a campaign, and also the outcome of that campaign, whether that's leads, attendees, or closed deals, will further help your marketing manager to validate that your organization is worth the investment. So if you believe that you're following the steps to success, but you're just not seeing the results that you hope for, the problem might also stem from sales and marketing not being aligned. So remember, a marketing program is only going to help bring traffic to your website or business, and you are really in charge of turning that traffic into conversions. So is your sales team well-equipped to take these leads and nurture them into closed deals? Marketing at some point will have to pass their leads off to sales. And so when that does happen, sales definitely needs to be aware of the marketing message that they are responding to. So you probably found that there are a lot of helpful resources and tools available, and through evaluating what's best for your businesses, you can face some of your challenges head on. So I'm going to touch on where to turn to if you feel like you've exhausted all your options, but first, now we're going to open up to questions for those who have any. So please utilize the Q&A section in the WebEx to submit your questions.
Thanks, Allie. I actually got a few questions while we're going to the webinar itself, so we can start there as people are asking some more questions. One coming in, how can I figure out if I'm part of a manufacturer program or if I have resources available to me?
That is a great question. So I really think that the best way to find out what programs you may be a part of would be to tap into your vendor contacts. So it's more about who you know in this scenario, and you'll want to be sure to ask all the appropriate questions to find out which resources that you have available to you.
Okay, so we got another one. What should I do if my program doesn't offer funding?
Okay, awesome. So usually marketing dollars are really dependent on what programs you are a part of. So a lot of programs will also base the funding that they disperse to their partners through certain goals that need to be met. So if you need to make, you might need to make certain benchmarks and then also hit certain goals that they determine, and you will be more likely to receive some funds to help you to continue to reach those goals. So getting marketing funds is, again, all about who you know as well. Again, this is where you should ask any vendor contact if they have access to funding. In most scenarios, you may need to come up with a plan of action of what you plan to do with these dollars, because unfortunately they won't just let you throw the money towards your mortgage. And as I mentioned earlier, AFV actually put together this nifty campaign template, which I can include the link to download in my follow-up email, and that will help you to put together a marketing plan.
Okay, so next one we got in chat. What is your strategy in consolidating all funding information from the multiple buckets?
That's a great question. So I would say it's really, really important that you're having just one person in charge of all funding buckets. So this means that this person would gather all that information from each vendor and, keep track of deadlines, dates, write them down, this vendor's this date, this vendor, we need to provide all this information by this time and spend all the money by this time. So having that one contact to control all funding buckets is going to be, I think, the most important thing with that.
So we've got another one, and it's funny because we get this question a lot here. What are other partners doing that you've seen to be successful?
So yeah, as Dan said, we really do get this question a lot as a partner marketing manager, and I could go on and on and on about all the different marketing campaigns I've seen successful in the industry. And I think the important takeaway here is to remember that there is not one set campaign that is promised to work for each solution provider. Marketing is also not a one-size-fits-all approach. So if it were easy, then everyone would have the answer to success. And I've seen one campaign be very successful for one partner, but with another partner, with nearly exactly the same campaign, it got entirely different results. So I think it's really important to focus less on your tactics and more about the strategy and that road that will take you there. So I don't have to keep everyone here too long. You can also check out our AFV blogs. So being marketers from the industry, we do get that question a lot. So we decided to start our Partner Insight series, where you can get different ideas of campaigns that have worked for partners in the past. And that's on our website, on our blog.
So we've got another one here. Any best practices for balancing multiple OEMs and campaigns? And Ali, I'll actually take that one if you don't mind. So I think that it's best to lead with, I always recommend this to partners, is lead with your own brand. So what works for you in particular, and especially your sales representatives, what are they good at selling? There's definitely that, what are we taking from the manufacturers? What resources are they providing? It's very easy to kind of favor them because of those resources. But I like to think of those as short-term benefits. You have to focus on your main strategy from a sales and marketing perspective. Focus on what's going to work for your reps. What solutions are you going to be able to best position to your particular customers? And I think that always takes priority over, some marketing funding that you may be receiving or some campaigns and content. Because in the long run, you'll end up generating that revenue that you can invest, in those resources yourself. So I've got one last question here. How do I use the vendor's very structured resources to promote my company's unique value proposition? And specifically, this person leads the U.S. So I guess I'll take this one as well, Ali. I think that the way that I look at it is, and I think this piggybacks off of the last answer too, you definitely want to lead with your own brand. Take advantage of the resources that are provided to you. They're really good if you don't have a design team, if you don't have copywriters to be able to, you have those resources to kind of use as a baseline. So, and some of them are customizable. Some of them you can put your value proposition, but all of them are going to be leading with the vendor's brand. So take advantage of them. I would say go through them and pick the ones that are most relevant to your brand. What verticals do you play the most in? What solutions do you really sell? Find those niches that really work with you, because then you can take those resources and adapt them a little bit. Again, it's just a little bit over baseline. So in the long run, you definitely want to focus on either hiring someone internally or working with a third-party vendor to help create some assets for you. Or even as simply as, you can put together an email campaign that fully represents your brand, but then leads to a, vendor's resource. So that way, it starts out with your brand, it leads to it, but then it delivers a very specific message, drives back to that vendor's resource that may be a little bit more particular and lead with their brand. That way, you're kind of still first and foremost, just based on the tactics that you lead with. So I didn't see any more questions here. If you do have any questions in the future, you can certainly reach out to us. But Allie does have one more thing that she wants to go through, so I'll hand it back over to her.
All right, perfect. So we've talked about some of the challenges you might be facing with your marketing program, and also touched on some ways to help you basically manage these programs a little bit better. But let's talk about what to do if you feel you've truly exhausted all your options. Navigating all these programs is almost like a job in its own. So that's why I definitely wanted to touch on a solution that addresses these challenges. So I've spoken a lot about how helpful it can be to have a marketing manager to quarterback your marketing. And AFV does offer marketing as a service to help solution providers optimize their marketing. So it's a flexible and cost-effective solution that provides access to multiple sources of content expertise in a managed service model. This program would also solve many of the challenges we just reviewed, and you would be able to work with a single company to manage all your marketing needs. So as I think someone asked how to manage all these funding buckets from different manufacturers, and this is actually a perfect solution. We also have a variety of services available to help bridge any gaps. So if you'd like to learn more about your options, you can also give me a shout after the webinar session. I can help to schedule a meeting for you to learn more. And I hope after this webinar that you feel ready to conquer all your marketing programs and just try out some of these tactics. If you found that this webinar was valuable, please keep an eye out for our next one. We will be doing these quarterly, and I encourage you to sign up for our free digital marketing assessment to gauge the health of your current marketing strategy. And then also be sure to subscribe to our mailing list. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you guys all have a great day.